Hello, everybody. Welcome to our first Teatime Talk. I'm Katie Hoss with Katiehossyoga.
And I'm Dr. Maria Perri with Wellness Springs.
Today, we will be discussing our first talk of Don Miguel Ruiz's The Four Agreements. And we'll be talking about his first agreement to be impeccable with your word and what that means.
Which is my favorite agreement anyway.
It's a good agreement. It's definitely sounds easy. It sounds easy to be impeccable, right? Just be honest, be truthful. Sounds like I can do that, but I think it's the hardest one.
I think so too.
Right.
And I think he says it's the most important one.
It is the most important, and I think the most challenging.
Agreed.
So I like that he dives in with, he opens the chapter with what does impeccable mean? And we kind of talked about this before, and he talks about sinning. So what he talks about is that the Latin word impeccable, impeccos, means sin. So impec is without sin. So it means to not sin against yourself. So to be impeccable with your word means to not do any harm against yourself with your word. So be nice to yourself, be true to yourself, have good words to yourself, and then that radiates moving forward to the universe.
I think that we have like the highest the best expression of ourselves, our like higher self. And the way I think about not being impeccable is to have our words, our actions be consistent with the value of our highest self. So it's,
I like to ask myself every morning, how can I be the best version of myself today?
That's it.
Right.
Yeah.
So we have this version of ourselves that is the best version. And when we start with our words, and we're honoring that best version of ourselves. Yeah. Working towards it.
And I do believe that words they're real, they're concrete, like where our words lead us. It's where they should be, or they need to be, where we want to go. So let's even talk about, I know you want to start with the meditation, but I want to talk about the words being not only about our world around us, but what words we use about ourselves. And I hear all the time people saying things like, whatever, I'm not a relaxed person, or I'm not a good test taker, or they talk about what they're not. And I think the beginning of being impeccable with your words has to do with setting up a standard and having your words be what you want to be true. Having your words be something that adds value and is positive, not only for the people around you, but especially for yourself.
For yourself, yeah. In yoga this week, that's exactly what we're talking about. We're talking about how we tell ourselves a story, and this narrative becomes true.
Yeah.
And I'm asking my students this week to question that narrative. Are you really busy? Or are you just telling yourself, I'm so busy?
Yeah.
Are you really, really tired? Or maybe you're just excited to go to sleep. Right. Rewrite that narrative. So rather than saying, I'm so busy, I'm so booked, I have the day full, I'm so blessed at the fact that my business is booming.
Yes.
And I have every class booked. I have every appointment booked. Right. So I'm so busy I'm so grateful to be booked and to be at my full capacity. Rewriting that narrative is a great way to start being impeccable with your word.
Totally agreed. And we could talk more, the people who know me, if you're watching, that I've had this big issue, and I ride, and I've been really afraid in canter. And I took a course on, managing your fear. And one of the things we had to do is to rewrite that idea that that feeling, the sensations I had was actually adrenaline, and it was actually my body getting ready to do like some kind of peak performance. And so instead of my feeling those sensations of the tightness and like the increased blood flow and all of that, I could feel my blood pressure going up. Instead of my saying, I'm afraid, and letting that stop me, what I had to learn how to do is to feel all those feelings and say, wow, my body's getting ready to do something like more. When you ice climb, do you have a lot of sensations that someone might call fear, but that you call, wow, this is so exciting?
Oh, absolutely. When you're clinging onto an ice wall and there's just a rope clinging, saving your life, you definitely have to let go of that fear. And my own personal mantra is turn the fear into excitement.
Yeah.
Turn the anxiety into excitement, because it's the same part of your brain. It's that same trigger that's being lit up, right? But the fear tends to win. But if you say, I'm not afraid, I'm excited.
Yeah.
And even taking that with your words, right? We're talking about being impeccable with our words. So finding fear and having a conversation, right? We opened up with that this morning. Like, I'm going to be impeccable by stating what I need to happen. And a lot of the times, like, I'm afraid to have this conversation. I'm afraid to tell somebody to move their car. I'm afraid to tell somebody to do this thing that's uncomfortable. But rather than being fearful, be excited about it. Say, I'm excited to tackle this. I'm excited to get it done. I'm excited to get it off my chest. Turn that fear into excitement, and then you'll feel that release.
Or not.
Or not.
Or not. You'll still feel all the sensations.
Right.
But I think what it means to you is different.
It does.
And then depending on the story, the words that we put to it, it either stops us or it like helps us to just do what we do better.
Better.
Yeah.
And that's what we're after, right? The better version of ourselves.
Yeah. In that moment. And then when you can't, then let's talk about the other end of it. Like when you fall short or when that better version of you doesn't happen, I think that we also need to be impeccable with our words so that we could just be kind to ourselves, because the best version of ourselves doesn't always come out. It often doesn't come out, because we're in a course of learning, and mistakes happen all the time. And I think that we just need to really be kind.
Be kind. And something Don Miguel also talks about is the fact that impeccable isn't perfect, right? An Olympic athlete isn't perfect. The difference between a master and a beginner is that the master has failed more times than the beginner has tried.
Yeah.
Right. It's not about perfection. It's about being the best that you can be in that moment, right? When you're sick, when you're menstruating, when you're not at your peak performance, when you're having a bad day, it's okay to be human, right? But it's how we interact. It's how we treat ourselves. It's the story we tell ourselves. Like, how do I be the best version of myself right now? How do I respond to the best I'm capable of responding?
Yep. I think so.
And it all begins with your thoughts.
Agreed.
I love this. Okay, so how about we end in meditation?
Okay, that's a great idea.
And then that can be how we proceed.
Okay, that's a great idea.
Cool. All right. So wrapping up, I encourage everybody I do have a few little pointers, which I'll send out later for encouraging you to be impeccable with your word. Next week, I'll have that ready.
Okay.
So this week, we'll finish up with a little meditation that you can carry with you to be impeccable with your word. I'm just going to move that here. Okay, great. So we'll begin finding a comfortable seated position. And you can take a few moments to just tune in to the breath, closing your eyes, letting the heart rate just drop a little bit. Listening to the sound of your breath. Eyes are closed. For the next few moments, your only job is to listen to my voice and breathe. Let's focus on this idea of being impeccable with our word and what that means and what that looks like in our lives. Being impeccable with your word means to not lie, to be honest with yourself as well, to not gossip, and to take the time to speak and communicate as clearly as possible. So if somebody is not understanding you, instead of saying, well, just forget it, instead, stop, rewind, and think, okay, wait, let me try to say that in a different way so that they can actually hear what I'm saying. Try to match your inhale with your exhale. Now turn your attention to the feeling of the air, just moving in and out of your chest. On the exhales, imagine yourself drifting down. A release. I'm so sorry. It's okay. Maybe for you, drifting down doesn't feel quite right. Maybe on the exhale, it's more like you're floating out and becoming a feather, and that's fine too. As you relax and unwind and take yourself very quickly, easily to a light or deep trance state, you choose what's right for you. And imagine yourself standing in a space. Maybe it's outside or in a dark room someplace. And in front of you is this beautiful globe of energy, beautiful light that may remind you as a sort of crystal ball, where it may remind you as an orb of energy with many colors or none at all. Just getting a sense of what that would be like for you to have this globe of energy in front of you. And within that globe, you can either watch or step into it. If you're a sensing kind of person, you'll want to step into it. And if you're a picture or imagining kind of person, you'll want it to just be in front of you as you imagine the picture. And getting a sense of what your world is like in your life today. Look back on just the past week and ask yourself if there were times that you shared information that was not personally yours to share. You talked about others, whether in the good or the bad. If you told something to somebody that you knew wasn't really true, or let go of a conversation rather than trying to be clear about what was really going on with you. And looking at these things without judgment, just noticing them with awareness. Breathing in awareness to this past week. Mistakes are merely opportunities to do things differently the next time. And so these mistakes give you a baseline for moving forward to improve upon. And remember, life is not black and white. It's a rainbow of color and many shades of gray. The path between here and there winds along the way. So just breathe, just be. Now, imagine yourself moving forward to the next week and bringing this awareness with you so that when that coworker comes up to you and starts to engage in a little coworker gossip session, you can stop, take a deep breath, smile to yourself and say, I don't need to engage in that. Not out loud to the person, just inside. Just release it and let it be. Maybe picture yourself saying to them, sorry you feel that way, and walking away for some water instead. Or maybe for you, what stood out in your mind was not keeping your word to others, your children, family, or friends. What would it be like if you made the choice to promise less and deliver more, so that when they asked, oh, can we go do this second? I don't know. Let's see what the day brings. That way, you're not breaking your word in any way, shape, or form. There may be other things you noticed, and you know what those things are for you. So just let yourself move forward now, wrapped in a delicious, beautiful light of love, awareness, and self-forgiveness. For little mistakes along the way, just breathe, just be. See yourself opening your eyes, bringing the sense of awareness and focus this week to be impeccable with your word and what that means for you. Taking a deep breath, rolling your shoulders just a little bit there, gently opening your eyes. With your eyes awake, notice the world around you as it may seem a little lighter, a little brighter than it did before. We'll take one big breath together, sighing out. Thank you so much for joining, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you. No, I love this. I love the idea of having this in my mind for this week. And I just love in all of our yoga classes having the reminder of it, like having a theme for the week, right, of something that we work on. Everyone says that to make big changes, it's one little step at a time. And the idea of having one little thing to focus on every week, when you think about that, like it's exponential over the next 10 years. It's exponential over your life for sure. But how much you will all change if every week you follow us and you really practice.
Right. You take one thought and that seed gets planted.
That seed gets planted.
It just blossoms.
Yeah. I'm excited for myself. I'm excited for all of us.
Yes, thank you, everyone.
Enjoy your week.
Be impeccable with your word.
I am. I'm not